Friends, relatives, strangers, and enemies, welcome once again to another enlightening episode of the Texas Conservative Channel, where, as always, I make it my own personal business to point out the flaws and the failures of the Democrat Party. And primary season is underway. And the race to see who's going to take on Obama is underway. And so on this channel, it is up to me as the Texas conservative that I am to point out whom is the most least conservative. And all conservative things considered, culture conservative matters as much as fiscal conservative. So I want to examine and I want to discuss Ron Paul's Middle East philosophy, Ron Paul's national security philosophy. Ron Paul likes to tell us that the reason why Al-Qaeda is hitting us is because of the occupation of their lands. I wonder what lands that we occupy or have occupied that caused the terrorists to do what they did. And in every case, wherever the terrorists were training out, were lands that we did not occupy. All the way back to Reagan's bombing of Libya after the Berlin attack. We didn't occupy Libya. No, they sent terrorists and attacked to kill Americans. On 9/11, we didn't occupy Afghanistan. United States government didn't control Afghanistan. That was the Taliban government. The Taliban government that was working side by side with Al-Qaeda in that nation. And as well with Iraq. Iraq did in fact wage war on the United States with their invasion of Kuwait. I've been through it before on previous videos, how Americans were held hostage by Saddam's troops. So we did not occupy Iraq or go into Iraq before they did that. So it sounds easy. It sounds good and it sounds easy, but it's just simply not the truth. To blame America for the attacks, that is a cart before the horse situation. That's a cart before the horse argument. We weren't in their lands before they hit us. Now, how is it that Ron Paul can come up with these ideas? Why is it? Is it purely political when he knows better? I mean, how is it possible that he is going to be able to do what he wants to do unless he wins the Republican nomination? Now, if he's going to stand on principle, on his own principle, then his own principle is not going to get him very far, because that blame America, that America is the cause of 9/11. America is the cause of why the terrorists want to hit us. It's because of what we do, not because of how fanatical they are. It's Ron Paul has lost all sense of reality. Maybe deep in his heart, he means well. But he comes off as sounding like a spokesman for Al-Qaeda, rather than trying to be a strong commander-in-chief or present an image that he would be a strong commander-in-chief on ways of trying to deal with Al-Qaeda, how to take Al-Qaeda out and defend America. His defense plan for America is to stop going into the lands where they train to hit us. that would be Ron Paul's approach. Under the belief that somehow if we don't go attack them in their lands, where which their terrorist plots and plans originate, that somehow that's going to stop their plots and plans from originating. Imagine that. What kind of stupid rationale is that, Ron Paul supporters? Answer me that. You can't do it, can you? Because there is none. Again, Ron Paul comes off as sounding like an Al-Qaida spokesman rather than somebody trying to run for the Republican nomination. You know, if that's what he wants to do, then he'll never break out of 4% and he won't win a single state or caucus. And he'll come in damn near dead ass last. And that's the way it'll be. Now, sometimes I wonder whether Ron Paul means it. Sometimes I think Ron Paul knows that he's not going to win the Republican nomination because of his Blame America stance. Rather he just wants to preach what he believes, and it's all about show business. It's not really about actually winning the presidency. Because even if he was to get over that hoot and hell's chance and actually by some absolute miracle from God win the Republican nomination, and unless it was God's will, and I hope it ain't, unless that happens, you know, then you wouldn't see Barack Obama and Ron Paul going up against each other. And Ron Paul and Barack Obama going up against each other wouldn't even be an election. Barack Obama would beat Ron Paul because on national security reasons and national security issues, Ron Paul is no different than Barack Obama. Barack Obama and Ron Paul have the same block of anti-war support, and they are on the same page as far as national security and defense expenditures and how much we should spend on the military. You know, they don't believe in hardly spending any of it. So, the Ron Paul is you have to wonder if he's trying to make people laugh. Why? How in the world, if you're trying to sell somebody something, and let's just say Ron Paul is trying to sell his issues, I mean, you don't go into somebody else's house, we'll just say the Republican Party is a house, and tell them how bad your product is. Going in there, bashing America, the Ron Paul bashing America, and then going into the Patriotic Party, which is the Republican Party, and other Tea Party members, and complain to them about what you think that the terrorists are doing and why they're hitting us is not what the Republican electorate's wanting to hear. And there's no question about it that if Ron Paul were elected president, that obviously he'd be a piss-poor commander-in-chief. No different than Barack Obama, who is a piss-poor commander-in-chief. No different than the nuclear weapon launch code loser Bill Clinton, who was a piss-poor commander-in-chief. Now, the ball really is in Ron Paul's court. And in all fairness, if I was a Ron Paul campaign advisor, I would say, sir, what are we doing here? And why are you doing this? You know, how in the hell are we going to win the nomination? Don't you know that most Republican voters don't agree with you? Most Republican voters don't put much stock in what radical Islamic terrorists' motivations are. I mean, it's you know, Ron Paul sounds as if when we retaliate and we go into their lands, that somehow that's more of a motivating factor than their radical religion. I mean, that is not what caused some nuts to get on the front of that plane and fly in the buildings at 500 miles an hour. No, that's radical religion. That's hate. That's hate of a way of life. That means they wanted to do that no matter whether we were over there or they were over here. Now, Ron Paul and Ron Paul supporters, I understand that coming from your camp, you like to make the relative comparisons. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean you like to compare America to Middle Eastern nations. You compare America, what would we do if we were them kind of thing, which really does not take into account who's right and wrong, which basically is a duck of the issue. Well, let's think about that for a minute. What if Ron Paul in the debate where he nearly got booed off stage for blaming America for what happened on 9/11, he damn near did. He would have deserved it. In that debate, he asked, what if China came over to the United States and occupied us like how we go over there and occupy their lands? Now, well, quite frankly, obviously, I would shoot at them, and I would hope our military forces here would shoot at them. And it couldn't end there. Obviously, driving them out of our country, if China did occupy the United States, then it couldn't stop at just driving them out of their country. We would have to take the fight over there and go occupy some of their land. It would be war. And in wartime, enemies wage it against each other. It's good and evil. It's right and wrong. There is no relative comparisons. What would I do if I was one of them? Okay, let me, Ron Paul, supporters, let me try and imagine what I would do if I was one of them over there. If I lived over there in a radical Islamic society where they expect, to adhere to such harsh religion, and to whether and we're in a society where it's martyrdom, where I lived under a hardline ruler. Let me stop there. I can't imagine it. I can't imagine it. It's not relative to suggest Ron Paul to suggest that somehow that the reasoning for war over there is the same as what we have over here, and that somehow the values over there are the same as what we have over here. Turns out that he thinks that their motivations are the same as what we have over there. So if it's the Chinese invading America, I would hope we wage war against them and defeat them, and then go over there and finish them off. And it's no different then than what would happen on 9/11. What if some radical Islamists took 4 planes and slammed them into our damn buildings? Well, what would I do? Well, I would hope the fight wouldn't be here. I would hope we would take it over there. What their motivation was wouldn't make a damn at the time. All that would matter is our nation's survival. And anybody running for president is irresponsible if they try to make it out to be anything else. How in the hell can you run for president of the United States and try to make reasoning of what and why the terrorists, our enemies, are trying to hit us? What the hell? You need to get a grip, get your head out of your ass, Ron supporters. Shake this dude. He doesn't know what in the hell he's doing. Ron Paul has done nothing at all. All he's done is threaten America's national security with his candidacy. He hasn't done a damn thing in the state of Texas, which is why most of the state of Texas supports Perry and doesn't like him very much here. He's just liked a little bit within his district. Outside his district, he's dead meat in Texas. He will not win inside Texas. So there's no question that Ron Paul's stance on national security is a hindrance. It's a hindrance to him. And my suggestions to him, and what would be the best thing for the Republican Party so that he's not grandstanding, is to go ahead and drop out of the race. Try to go back to your district, Mr. Paul. Go back, continue your physician profession. Get out of politics. And if you're going to stay in politics, you probably have more success over in the Democrat Party, where a lot of their supporters really do like you. You're not going to make it in the Republican Party. So go try to create some jobs. Try to do something that Perry has done. You haven't done anything except run for president damn near 10 years in a row now. Each cycle. That's all you've done is run for president, even when it wasn't election season. So, don't spend day after day going around blaming America, trying to make us come up with some way to support you and find some reason in why the terrorists kill us and hit us. Americans are smarter than that, Mr. Paul. Especially the people of the state of Texas were smarter than that. We know that the radical Islamists want to hit us because we're free. How can you say that that's not the reason? Freedom, we're allowed to do what we want to. Freedom, you don't have to go worship. You don't have to march to Mecca or whatever the hell, or wear a turban or grow a beard. Damn, Mr. Paul. That's why they want to hit us, because they're offended by what we do over here. Well, I personally don't give a damn what the Islamists think. And if they think it's okay to hit us, then we'll be over there blowing the hell out of them. And they'll be complaining about, and I guess you'll be complaining about why they hit us for a long damn time. But I think America's caught wind of you. The Republican Party certainly knows that your lack of cultural conservatism is not going to cut it. Just being a physical conservative doesn't do it. Part of being culturally conservative, Ron Paul supporters, is understanding that there's a threat to America. That has always been a strength of the Republican Party, but Ron Paul can't be that weak link. He is at 4% and 5%, and he's not going to be able to do any better. Now, these facts are pointed, but they're also necessary. And there's no question that as each election season day passes, that I'm going to be analyzing, I'm going to be comparing Ron Paul to Barack Obama a lot. If Barack Obama doesn't want me to criticize him, he should resign, as well with Ron Paul. If they intend to keep doing what they're doing, I'm going to point out their every flaw. And that's what I do here on the Texas Conservative Channel. I look out for what is conservative, especially culturally conservative. So I know you like this. I know viewers that you think this is enlightening. Some of you are agreeing and nodding your heads. Some of you are laughing. Some of you are pissed off. And as always, friends, relatives, strangers, and enemies, that's the way it's supposed to be. No, I'm not going to pull any punches. I'm not going to leave any stone unturned in pursuit of the truth. And I have pointed out some truth here today about some folks. And to hear more of it, all you got to do is just catch the next episode, because I've yet to determine what's going to be in that episode. And again, it will be enlightening. See you then.